Star Citizen so far in 2021 has seen its share of updates, improvements, triumphs, and some disappointments for the game. So Cloud Imperium have released a Alpha 3.13 Xenothreat and Invictus event post-mortem, covering a huge amount of work in Q1 2021, and details of what's been added, the problems that they need to solve for the future, and what they're working towards now. This is a summary of that, and some of the info here is quite juicy. Why do we need these postmortems though? Well, it's because they show what Cloud Imperium have learnt, and although obviously a lot of people are focused on the coming 3.14 patch in the future, it's still massively important to look to the past and how that can be applied to the present and future. Let's start with mission features. Xenothreat and Fleet Week saw a lot of work during Q1 2021, with collaboration between all the departments at Cloud Imperium stronger than ever. So Xenothreat hit some bars, but also failed in others. That's one of the reasons we're getting the remastered version of Xenothreat in Alpha 3.14. The first launch of it, though, went reasonably well, and it played and worked and was fun, and the new cargo types are used for other missions now as well that they added. They did add some content and missions to caves as well, because it seemed a shame for them to add these new entrances with no new content. They hadn't planned to add new content originally, they just went, oh, well actually it'd be probably better. They also added a lot more mission locations in the Yella asteroid ring. They're trying to improve their ability to minimise unforeseen issues in the future. Invictus launch week went very smoothly, as it's something they've basically done previously as an event, but they just sort of add more to it each time. They can dynamically change the inventory of shops for events as well now, enabling special stock or consumption or replenishment of commodities. This adds trade and mission opportunities. Missions can now trigger also when a shop's stock has hit a certain level, but this was seen as stock alerts, but it's going to be used for a lot more stuff in the future. But they didn't have much time to test these features in the PTU, and there was a bit of buy and sell confusion. They had to do some changes to these features quite hackily, and they want something more refined for a solution in the future. The Ninetales lockdown was supposed to be a 3.13 event, but was delayed, and obviously we're getting that in this next major patch, 3.14. It was competing with QA time and testing time. The priority was Invictus as an event, so they prioritized that to get that working as good as they could. They did have some issues with ship landing gear, and in the future they want some way of more easily debugging that, and they want clearer, cleaner UI presentation for buying and selling items in the future, maybe with a economic information tab, or an addition to the star map, or an app. I liked what the team said here as well. We would like to see some better coordination between QA and the dev teams that require larger scale QA involvement, such as Invictus and Ninetales Lockdown. We've certainly seen and acknowledged several of the pain points that this has caused, but this will continue to come up as we make more of these events, so we need to tighten up this workflow moving forward. Ideally, we would try and get the delivery of all gameplay features and related services well in advance of any potential delivery date. For example, well before we branched the next release stream, and certainly before going to the PTU. I would also like to see less development in the release stream as we move forward. So, I think that's really cool to hear from Cloud Imperium. You get sort of some of the honest problems that they face and ways that they want to solve them from each of the sort of teams that they're talking to. Systemic services and tools. The Super Cache was deployed and work started on several longer term initiatives to integrate quantum into more services. So this is sort of like dynamic universe simulation, this is AI moving between zones, this is some AI being physicalized, some being these quanta that just fly around and just serve to work out what's going on in the larger simulation. Quasar was deployed, which is the dynamic mission tool Tony Zorovic showed in April. However, a new high-speed AI service was needed to map live positions of mission-spawned NPCs, which ended up being deceptively complex, which caused various delays. I liked this little jab as well, whoever wrote this section. Many of our team resources continue to be absorbed addressing bugs that don't end up being in our sphere of responsibility. So I really like that, because that's honest. You're taking time out of what we should be doing because these aren't sort of portioned out correctly. In the future, they want to be able to show off the progress more easily on the star map when they show off stuff like this. The groundwork is already laid now for quantum, and high-speed AI, and they are now better able to identify issues that don't fall under the responsibility of their team, and able to plan and reroute these issues to the appropriate teams, saving the systemic services and tools team sort of more time so they can develop their stuff that they're working on. mining subcomponents added deeper gameplay to mining, and they were the first subcomponents we had in the game. The QATR, so the quality assurance test request process, was running smoothly for that as well. However, the game dev stability was poor, causing some delays. Also, QA was largely busy with other 3.13 cycle features. This is currently affecting the efficiency of the quality assurance test request process, leading to sprint integrations of non-upcoming releases being heavily delayed. So it does very much seem that QA were overwhelmed during 3.13 as a cycle in the Q1 2021. And that could be because there's not enough QA, that because there's not enough communication, that could be just because there was a huge amount to do. Sensitive cargo missions were implemented using the tech from the Xeno threat event. However, some of the boxes didn't behave as expected, which ended up being an issue with the entity behavior. The timers were not spawning the correct time, and the box would explode with 2 minutes left, which obviously isn't ideal. Also, Hurston isn't the best location for long flight missions because of the location distribution. They did increase the payout, but we'll look at continued refinements for that. And for the future, they need to improve the handoff of the entity behaviors and clear up responsibility between the teams. Cloud Imperium added parasite docking with the Merlin Constellation. It had been delayed a lot, but is now a functional feature, and they delivered a bit more because of that, and it works. Although there were various janky issues and snappy issues with the sort of the way it docked and if the ship was moving, but they do understand that more testing would have been useful, and they would like to see that in future for similar sort of features. More testing for these, more QA testing. They added custom names and serial numbers to some ships. For the ships, they added them. You could customize them via the RSI website, but eventually this will be in game. It was only a few ships they added though, and there was problems with this. There was some sort of like colors on the ships were wrong, so you couldn't see the sort of text, you couldn't see the names, the lighting was poor. The actual size of the text was restricted to 32 characters, but they didn't resize. There was a lot of stuff going on there. So in the future, players will be able to pick color of their ship's name, and they're improving the UIs for displays of the name in-game as well. Hull visual degradation has been tied into the production pipeline for future ships, and this gives a much better read on how a ship's doing, damage it's taking, etc. There were various bugs that were missed with things like canopies being entirely scratchable all over, so that it literally could block your view. There's also some problems adding older ships to this because it's time consuming. They have to manually adjust it all. In the future, with physical damage, this will move from being purely a visual feature to it having structural and gameplay consequences, and hopefully a more refined system behind putting it in. The Cyclone MT was a surprise vehicle variant release. It's going to be featured a lot in Theatres of War, it seems. I'm interested to see how that vehicle gets missile operator modes in the future, as it is a missile cannon hybrid turret, and our missile is going to have the same sort of missile operator mode split out when it's within a single turret. Interesting to see exactly what Cloud Imperium wants to do with that. The Rock DS was, and still is, I suppose, the ugly duckling. The vehicle struggled both through its development and public release, having originally been designed to be the primary vehicle in the sort of Rock family. However, due to production timelines, they had to release the Rock in advance of the Rock DS, and the original aim was to have them both released together, and that would have had a clearer sort of like idea in players what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to be used. But because of the time gap and because of the usefulness of the Rock, not the Rock DS, people just prefer the Rock and just go, what's the point in the DS? While it did get some hefty upgrades during the Evocati and PTU phases, increasing both its capacity and range, these goals were not communicated well enough at the start of the release cycle, leaving it to suffer. The Rock DS was never supposed to be a clear upgrade from the Rock, but instead a two-player alternative for some more demanding locations. It does currently sit in a poor position, however future changes to inventory behaviour, the cargo system, and cave setups will perhaps let it gain the position they had intended for it. It will get some love until it's in a good spot, basically. Locations. So the environments added during the cycle are extremely useful for the future of the game. The high-tech Tobin Convention Centre, space station docking modules, and military docks. Though the docking feature could cause some headaches for sure, they decided to hold back on the station to ship docking for 3.13 until 3.13.1 to improve the quality of that release. The trolley push and pull feature created a lot of bugs as well for the team, and they were quite time consuming to fix. And that's a lot of what the issues were with 3.13. There was a lot of time consuming bugs and problems. In the future, to reduce in efficiency, they're going to look at having more of a buffer between a feature being made and the location being made that utilizes it. So hopefully they don't need to go, bam, that all has to come at the same time. Core gameplay. So the new mounted guns were added. Eventually, you're going to see AI, NPCs, and players using these to defend locations like new outposts and homesteads and bunkers, and they're going to be able to threaten ships and vehicles. These provide a size 1 ship weapon for a player to fire from a mounted position. The new control scheme and movement provided challenges for their integration because they wanted them to look good and feel good, and they had to tweak various bits of weapons to have them mounting properly. New weapons will require tweaks as well to be supported because they have to be taken off ship and then mounted in a different way. In the future, they're going to add additional control options. However, Cloud Imperium did concede that the current implementation in the persistent universe doesn't really serve a purpose. In hindsight, they think it would have been better to implement it than ask for specific PTU and Evocado feedback, and then release it in a later patch once the content teams had had enough chance to build something around it. Trolley push-pull. This allows players to interact with a trolley or block or push or pull it or whatever. This needs to work with different scales of objects in different gravities and lots of different things. Heavier loads are harder to control when they're on a trolley, and there's a system for tying it all together. During testing, trolleys' small wheels caused problems because getting up slopes and ramps, well, there were sort of like minimum distances and large angles, and this meant that they haven't got the full trolley experience in game yet. We will see it used for cargo loading and puzzle mechanics in the future, pushing things to barricade an area to get a high vantage point or to unblock something. There are going to be hover trolleys too, and these solve some of the problems they sort of like small wheels will be causing, because, you know, you just hover over things, though wheeled trolleys will be used at landing zones and for certain missions still. Systemic gameplay. Reputation UI gave players updates to and a visual representation of the reputation system and how their actions affect factions and mission givers and what they're working towards. They do bounty hunting missions, and that was what got the most major hookup with this. Bam, 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 you do like 10 of those missions, you can see that you've got a load of rep in there, and you might have gained a rank, and you might get some rewards. Rewards were given for people having high reputations within mission groups. But yes, it's allowing you to see your progress. And there were a load of bugs that needed to be fixed, though, once they implemented this, and some of the mission system still hasn't been converted over to the new rep system, nor have they had time to refactor the mission giver behaviors to be reactive to affinity and reliability meters. While this is an ongoing effort and players should look for continued progress, this will unfortunately take time to churn through the entirety of our missions and refactor the mission giver behaviors. I really want to see the reputation system subsumed into all the missions in the game, because sooner they do that, the better. It sort of links stuff together, gives you much more progression, and I like what CIG was saying there, but I don't know how long they mean timescale-wise for all of this stuff, but we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Improvements in communication and general pipeline updates will help with this, and similar features in the future. They are also planning to create more TDDs, technical design documents, prior to starting these larger initiatives, which inform the goal and plan of a feature much more fully. I want to read this section in its entirety as well. It's just a bit of what they've got planned. Also, with the system now in place and our second star system on the horizon, once server meshing comes online, we are having ongoing design discussions about how we will structure organizations within the universe for the first 5 systems. These talks include everything from the new player experience and their starting location, how players will progress within a single system, and how major organizations will influence content across multiple systems. This also allows us to define what gameplay will be involved for each of the major mission types, with the current plan to associate each mission type with the reputation tracks within organizations. Throughout this process, we have made significant strides towards what we feel will be the initial version and vision of how this major progression mechanic will affect the overall player experience. While we still need to get final sign-off, we feel this falls in line with how Reputation has been previously pitched to the public and look forward to driving this forward. Boom. That's it for the post-mortem today. I think these are really useful. They do have some quite honest, blunt thoughts from some of the teams from Cloud Imperium. They say, look, we fell down here, or we needed more time here, or we need a bigger QA team, or we need to communicate between departments more readily, or we just needed more time to get this element through, or whatever. So I'm very much looking forward to the Ninetales Lockdown and Xenothreat Remastered coming in 3.14. I'm looking forward to CIG actioning a load of that information that they sort of broke down there into the company and making Star Citizen and its development significantly better. But there is a lot more to be looking forward to each quarter as Cloud Imperium get more Star Citizen complete and learn how to make the game more efficiently. But what do you think? Were there other lessons that Cloud Imperium should have learned this quarter around, or this time around, or whatever? Do you like the postmortems, or are they not too useful? What's your thoughts on that? What do you hope to see this year in Star Citizen? Roll on more dynamic economy features, and, I suppose, more events, Alpha 3.14, 3.15, server meshing, whatever else they've got planned. But, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Hey, I heard you like VPNs. How about NordVPN then? It's got things like security and features, and we all know chicks dig VPNs. Oh my god, is that Nord? Well, yes. Yes, it is. Wink. Check out the links below to get discounts, or go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. Maybe it will align your chakras or something. Actually, let's read some testimonials. Ever since I got NordVPN, my life is good. I wish I'd got NordVPN sooner. I didn't get NordVPN and now I've got no hands. I'm sorry that I recorded this as an ads in. I apologise to my editor. I said I wouldn't go too wacky. That's not what's happened here. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for July it's for a Constellation Taurus with lifetime insurance and a Star Citizen game package. All you need to play! This long overdue, more cargo-focused version of the Constellation is going to be flyable in July. It's basically a new ship. Woo! Sort of. To be in for a chance of winning that, comment on any of my videos made during July, and each video gives you another chance to win, but only one comment is counted per video. More details down below. Please also consider supporting the channel further via the YouTube join button, or via Patreon, or donation, or whatever. It all helps us make Star Citizen content. Great Star Citizen content, hopefully, or at least some Star Citizen content. Also, you should bother the bell and like and subscribe and all that sort of jazz as well. Thanks for watching.